The first test of the Border-Gavaskar series is over. It ended within 3 days, quicker than we all expected, and we are here to talk about it. I am Rohan Sen, and here is my colleague Joe Williams with me to talk about the match and analyze what all went right for India, what all went wrong for India, and mostly what all went wrong for Australia, because nothing went right for them in this test match. So India decimated Australia in the first test of the Border-Gavaskar Trophy, drawing first blood in this 4-match test series. We all expected India to win this test match, and within the first 3 days in fact, but not as quickly as they did today. I mean, India had taken a first innings lead of 223 runs after scoring 400 runs in their first innings. They got bowled out in the first session today, and then Australia were 223 runs behind. They couldn't even get there. They got bowled out for 91, mainly thanks to the Indian spinners Ravindra Jadeja and Ravichandran Ashwin. Ravindra Jadeja finished with 7 wickets in the match. He took 2 wickets in the second innings, but of course Ashwin starred with the ball. He took a 5-wicket haul and finished with 8 wickets in the match. He had taken 3 in the first innings. None of the Australian batsmen could live up to the expectations. They faltered. They had their techniques. Their technique was all over the place. That was the main issue, according to me, which I felt was the main problem for Australia. That is why they suffered. And we expected the match to end quickly, but not as quickly as it did. Firstly, Joe, your thoughts on the match?
Yeah, it was. It was really a resounding win for us. The 11th in all, the first innings and some runs for the 11th time. And of course, it was the spinners who were the ultimate winners in this Test match. Around about 31 to 32 wickets were taken by these guys, which clearly shows the wicket was made for spinners. And of course, even the Australians, Todd Murphy, he also picked up 7 wickets on his debut, which clearly shows the wicket was a tailor-made wicket for us at this, Asians, in India especially. So, yes, as you said, these guys, our guys, the tail-enders, Azhar and Jadeja, of course, Jadeja has been among the runs. These guys could score, and Australians toppled about Steve Smith and all these guys who had come, who we thought would really give us some fight, made it look like a very...
They did manage to put up some fight in the first innings when Steve Smith and Manas Labuschagne were batting. That time we all thought that Australia might stage a comeback, and they were on their way to stage a comeback after the early collapse in their first innings. But then again, Jadeja struck, and then the whole thing capitulated for Australia. From then onwards, nothing went right for Australia. You spoke about Todd Murphy, the debutant. He picked up 7 wickets in the match, but he still outperformed Nathan Lyon, who's a much more experienced bowler than Todd Murphy. One of the most experienced bowlers, one of the best of spinners in the current generation. Almost as many wickets as Ashwin, almost 450 wickets or odd wickets he has. But nothing else went right for Australia. What would be their positives from this test match apart from Todd Williams' performance?
I think the positives, there's nothing positive they can take from this match, because everything went against them. And I think the main problem was these guys, they couldn't apply to the conditions and play like most of our Indian, especially Rohit Sharma. He has also stated that yes, we should be technically strong in such kind of wickets. These guys couldn't do it. Maybe there's a lot of negatives, so they have to work on the negatives to make it positive. And maybe in the tests which are coming up, we would like to see some fight.
The next one is in Delhi, starting from the 17th of February. So hopefully, it's a short turnaround time, but hopefully they can iron out their flaws. Sunil Gavaskar was speaking during this match. I was hearing the commentary about the technique and how to play spin on, how to place spinners on these kind of wickets. He was talking about using your feet. Either you go down the track or you come back, judge the line and length of the ball and how much the ball is turning, and play according to the merit of the ball. But there was a lot of talk about the pitch before this test match. It was expected to turn.
Yes.
It did turn. But there were no demons on this pitch. Like even the Australian Test captain Pat Cummins said after the match that the wicket was turning, but it wasn't unplayable.
True.
But we Indians were being accused of doctoring pitches before Test series and not giving proper Test match wickets, even for the tour matches. That's why Australia wasn't playing any practice game before this Test match.
Exactly, ये तो होता है ना यार, बाहर से लोग आते, especially the media, for them, they would like to see what are the negatives in the Indian wickets. They don't, I mean, there are negatives, even if you go there, there are lots of negatives, but we don't blow them up out of the lid. I mean, these guys, they just need some little small opportunities to, make make a mountain out of a mole. So that's what they did about the starting 3 days before the wickets they could play. They were talking about the wickets. They said this is a doctored wicket and this is made for the spinners. And you know very well, if you come to this part of the world, you have to come with spinners. So, I think so. There was a bit of selection of the team, and of course, a lot of injuries to their players, which was setback for these Australians.
Yeah, you spoke about the hype that Indian series in the subcontinent usually brings around with it because of the pitches. The pitch is always the center of attraction before the test match, even before the test series starts. And this was the case again today. But we never spoke about anything about the Adelaide pitch when India got bowled out for 36.
True.
Nobody said anything about that pitch, or even the ICC didn't comment anything on that pitch. India got bowled out for 36. We lost that test match and then we staged that great comeback. But the same thing happened over here. Australia, 91 all out is, if not as bad as 36 all out, but it's quite close. This is their second lowest total against India in a test match.
True. See, here also, when we talk about Adelaide, we were all out for 34, 36, but we made a comeback.
Yeah.
But these guys were all out for 177, and they could have made a comeback. I think so. The mindset was not, mentally they are not prepared for it, because they have already been, thrown into this one before coming here. And not like we Indians, especially that Adelaide test, where we made a tremendous comeback and we won that match. Yeah. So these guys, I think so, they have to work lots of things. Maybe the second test, it's a very short span. And let's hope there is some fight at least. Yeah, the test match 5 days, you're getting over at 3 days. It makes, it doesn't give the spectators what they come there for.
Ravindra Jadeja coming back into the test team after 5 months, big injury layoff, and then bouncing back. He of course took 8 wickets before this test match. He was playing
Ranji Trophy.
To prepare for this test match, he was playing in the Ranji Trophy. He played for Saurashtra and picked up 8 wickets. Then came here, picked up 7 wickets, 5 wickets in the first innings and 2 in the second. And then scored 70 runs with the bat. We couldn't have expected anything better than Jadeja in this test match.
Very true. His presence in the team made a lot of difference. And yes, because I was just talking to somebody in the team. They said this guy is a different character altogether whenever you are there with him. Whenever he's bowling the other side and you're bowling this side, or you're batting, he is a guy who inspires us. These youngsters have to say about it. Of course, Jadeja is, his comeback, he has made a tremendous comeback. Sir Jadeja is.
Yeah, truly. And you spoke about Akshar Patel and Jadeja's batting and that partnership that they had. Akshar Patel scored 84, Jadeja scored 70. They are not better batsmen than Steve Smith or Manas Labuschagne, but even they got more runs, and that they combined got probably half of the runs that the entire Australian team got.
Exactly.
And the Indian lower middle order contributed. The entire, if you see the contributions of the lower middle order, it's almost as much as Australia's first innings score.
Exactly.
And Australia, with their great batsman David Warner, he's come here for multiple tours. Steve Smith has come here for multiple tours. Manas Labuschagne was obviously playing here for the first time. He scored a brilliant 49 in the first innings. But still, they couldn't cope up with the turn and the spinners. The trial by spin was expected and they completely flopped.
Yes, it's not the first time these guys are coming here. They have been here in this Indian soil for so many years. And that's exactly what has happened. Now, they have not applied themselves well. I think so. They have been mentally robbed much before the match. And one more thing, everybody must have noticed this. Once a wicket starts falling, they fall in heap. That shows these guys are not prepared for it. Like we Indians, when Jadeja and Akshar Patel joined, we were behind them.
We were in a spot of bother.
Yes. So these guys made a comeback. So, mentally they are not prepared. of course, that I think so has made them, and they are not using the techniques to play the spinners. Like, I mean, you have to use your feet. You can't stand in one place and play. So these are the things they have to work out, and let's hope.
Australian team तो चलो खैर they will improve on their, I'm sure they will improve on their performance in the next test match. But Australian media का क्या होगा जो? Who will they blame now?
Now they
players ने तो बोल दिया कि pitch unplayable नहीं था, कोई demons नहीं थे.
नहीं.
And Australian media obviously is infamous for being the 12th man of the team.
Yeah.
Especially the test team. They had blamed the Indian pitches, doctored pitches and everything. Australian media के साथ media ने शुरू किया, उसके बाद फिर former cricketers ने भी शुरू किया ऑस्ट्रेलिया में, saying that blaming the pitches and everything. It is all known.
Yes, it is known.
This is not the first time this is happening. Australian media ये करता ही है हमेशा. Australian media, English media, they usually have this, you know, they play that role of staunch supporters of the team and whatever.
Yeah.
They don't look at the negatives of their own team. They obviously try to find faults in the opposition and where they can, you know, poke the opposition and try to play these mental games before the start of any important series. They did that again here, but किसी ने उनका साथ नहीं दिया. जब मैच शुरू हुआ सबने देखा कि पिच में ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं था जो कि ये लोग 177 और 91 पे ऑल आउट हो गए. जब एक टीम 400 बनाती है, दूसरी टीम 177 और 91 पे ऑल आउट हो जाती है, इसका मतलब there's a huge difference between the technique and the batters of both the sides.
Yeah, because now their batsmen have exposed. The wicket has been, I mean, they have been talking about the wicket. The only thing which is left now is they would blame the ACB, that is Australian Cricket Board. Yeah. The media, I'm talking about the media. They would say like, no, they should have picked up this team, they should have. I'm sure tomorrow anybody picks up Australian paper, we will definitely find something of that sort. And there would be less talk about the players and the wickets. So that's what
they don't criticize their own players.
No.
The former cricketers do.
Yes.
They are very, very particular in that way. I mean, if they do well, they are praised like anything. But when they're not doing well, they completely bash their own cricketers. But the media doesn't do that. The media is always trying to find faults in the opposition team. Now talking about India, obviously they had everything going in this test match. But a few areas of concern remain, like KL Rahul's batting form. His string of poor scores have continued. Again, he scored 20 runs in the first innings and obviously India batted just once. His form is an issue. Surya Kumar Yadav came and played his first test match over here. He was preferred ahead of Shubman Gill, who was also in brilliant form. But he's obviously played test match before. Surya Kumar Yadav first test match, he looked a little, out of sorts. The way he got out to Nathan Lyon, that delivery, he tried to play outside the off stump and the ball came back, turned sharply inside and took his off stump. So KL Rahul, Surya Kumar Yadav, and where else do you think India need to improve?
I'm sure we should get Shubman Gill inside. That would strengthen our middle order. He has done very well. And everybody was surprised. How could they leave out Shubman Gill? And because KL Rahul, I don't know how long they're going to give him the rope. It's been quite a long since he's been enjoying the, what do you call, Dravids or anybody else's. He's a blue boy of that sort of think tank.
Yeah.
So I'm sure the next test match we would definitely find some change. Surya Kumar Yadav, come on, he's a T20 player, man. Yeah. You don't get him in the test match. And the way he got out also was, we could clearly make out he can't.
Do you think he's ready for test cricket yet?
No, I don't think so he's ready for test cricket. Not at all, he's not ready for test cricket. Because the way he started off, as usual, like Surya always, first ball he faces, batches into the...
Swept
for
the
boundary. Yeah. So that shows Surya is not a test match player. He's not a five-day match player. He's just for those 20 overs match player he is. And of course, ODIs 50 overs also we can consider him. But for test match, I think so somebody has to do something about him.
So you're saying he's a white ball specialist and he's not ready for test cricket yet?
True.
And the bowling department, would you pick the same bowlers for the next test match?
Yes.
Or would you like to see Kuldeep Yadav in place of Aksar, maybe? Because Jadeja and Ashwin, I'm pretty sure they're not going to be.
Yeah, but see what happens. Our seamers, Sammy and Siraj, they're doing pretty well on top. They are, I mean, when they open this innings, they're doing pretty well, and these guys come and do it. Akshar is also, I mean, he's also a part of it. Yeah. Now Kuldeep, he can be only a bowler.
Yeah.
Like Ashwin and Jadeja, Ashwin can also score some runs. He came as a night watchman.
Yeah, of course. Yes. Ashwin nowadays can be called a proper all-rounder.
Yeah, Jadeja also.
Jadeja was always.
Yes,
yes, of course.
And Akshar, yes, he's an all-rounder. So I think so. These guys, we should stick to the same 5 bowlers. This one, and go and batting. Yes, we'll have to do something for the batting.
I think they'll give KL Rahul probably one more game before. If he doesn't perform in Delhi, then maybe. The next test match and the third test match, Shubman Gill might get a look in. But another big controversy happened in this test match. Actually, after the test match, that we got to know that Ravindra Jadeja was fined 25% of his match fees and given 1 demerit point for that ball tampering controversy.
I wouldn't call it a ball tampering.
Yes, of course. The Australian media started with the ball tampering thing. They started doubting whether Jadeja was tampering with the ball. I don't know if you guys saw that video or not. There was one short clip which went viral on social media. This was from day 1 of the test match when Mohammad Siraj and Jadeja, they were talking to each other and Jadeja ने Mohammad Siraj के हाथ से उसका ointment थोड़ा सा लिया and अपनी उंगली पे लगाया उसको. That was just a soothing ointment that Jadeja was applying and he had the ball in his hand.
Yeah.
So everybody thought, not everybody actually, Australian cricket fans and the Australian media, they thought that he was probably tampering with the ball. He was applying something on the ball. But then again in the same clip you could clearly see that it was only on his finger that he's a left arm spinner, so he was applying it on his bowling finger, the main index finger that he was applying it on. And in the same shot he had the ball in his right hand, the other hand. But again, that was something that the Australian side flagged, and a huge controversy was they tried to create a huge controversy out of it. Nothing came out of it. The ICC said that was just an ointment, nothing doing. But the match referee fined him.
Yeah.
And penalized him for not telling the umpire that he was applying that ointment.
Exactly. He was fined for that, and he was not fined for applying the ointment.
Yeah.
He was fined because he didn't inform the field umpire that he is doing this, which he should have done. I'm sure Jadeja must have learned this. Next time when he's going to apply, he would definitely speak to the umpires before doing anything of that sort.
Your thoughts on the next test match?
Next test match, and there is one more thing which is, I don't know whether it's, we're having one match at Dharmashala.
We have the third test in Dharamsala. Yeah, but the third test might get shifted because Dharamsala, the stadium infrastructure is not probably ready yet. So it might get shifted. The third test match might get shifted to another venue if Dharamsala cannot host it.
It could be Pune or Vizag.
Yeah.
These are the two centers they're talking about. But I think so they will not, because BCCI has clearly said unless the host center comes and says we are not prepared, we are not going to shift it. And they have to do it within a couple of days because the test match, third one, is not very far away.
Do you see Australia bouncing back from this defeat? Like India did in the Border-Gavaskar Trophy last time when they told?
Yeah, but bouncing back in India, against India, I mean, I don't think so. I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm very, this one, we will definitely win 4-0 this time.
You're predicting 4-0?
Yes.
If we need to win 3 test matches in this series, or 4 matches, out of the 4 matches, we need to win at least 3 matches to qualify for the World Test Championship final.
Yes, right. So I'm sure this series will definitely, make way for us to get into the World Test Series finals.
All right, let's hope that happens. We'll keep our fingers crossed for that. The next test match is in Delhi, starting from the 17th. If India wins 3 test matches in this series, they qualify for the WTC final, and most probably they'll be facing Australia in the WTC final again, which might happen at the Oval in England. Your thoughts on that? If both these teams qualify, then who do you see as the favourites in England? Neutral conditions?
Neutral conditions, neutral venue, and yes, what is it? Because it's been played in England. So, I would,
India has
I
the
would, I would say
experience.
50-50%. I wouldn't give Australians or Indians the full. I would say 50-50.
But India already have the experience of playing in the WTC final once. If they do it again, they'll again qualify for the second consecutive time. Hopefully that happens, and hopefully they keep up this performance in the second Test match as well against Australia. And but we would like to see some fight from Australia.
Exactly.
The match, no, we don't want to see the match ending in 3 days. Of course, it's good for us that we get 2 free days, but they need to pull up their socks, right?
Yeah, we need some fight back from the side like Australians. I mean, that would give some sort of this one for the media and for the people, for the spectators when they come and watch the matches. So let's hope there's some fight back in the next 3 Test matches.
All right. So India on top. Australia have a lot of homework to do. They need a lot of improvements in their batting, especially if they want to bounce back in this series. But that looks unlikely. Anything can happen in Test cricket. India made the comeback in the Border-Gavaskar Trophy last time around. There's no stopping Australia from doing the same thing in this series. So hopefully they'll put up a better show. But India continues this performance. Fingers crossed. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you so much.